In this video, we're going to continue working on our home page and finish the footer of our website. In the last video, we finished the recent projects section of our website, and we're almost done with the home page. The only thing that we have to do left is work on the footer, and this footer looks like this. It's actually going to be used across the entire site, and it's not going to change. So we're gonna use this as an include, and we're just going to be including it at the end of every page that we develop. So if we ever have to make a change to the footer, we can change it in one spot and it'll apply to the entire site. So let's go ahead and jump into things. Okay, so I have the design pulled up here, and you can see what we've done so far. We've got this entire part done. In the last video, we just finished this section, and right now we're about to jump in and work on this. So for this form here, we are actually going to be using MailChimp for the newsletter. So we're going to be using one of their forms, and we're going to style that and make it look like this instead of whatever theirs is going to try and look like. So let's go ahead, let's open this up in Atom, and let's open the terminal as well. Alright, so now that those are open, let's go ahead and we're going to cd into our project. And we're going to run bundle exec jekyll serve with the flag watch and the flag base URL with the 2 quotation marks. Let the server start up. And okay, let's go to this address and take a look at it. So this is it. This is everything that we've finished. All the way down here, we got these done, and we're about to start with this. So we're going to add the footer as a include, so that we can just include it into any page we need to. So in our includes, let's go ahead, let's make a new file, and let's just call this footer.html. So in this footer.html, we're going to add the HTML element of footer, and I'm just going to give it a class of footer wrapper, and we're going to close that off. So inside of here, there's a couple things. We've got some text, then we have the form right here, then we have some social media links, and then we also have just my email address down here. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be pretty much wrapping each of these sections so we can just display it evenly in the center here how we want to. So this is going to be in its own wrapper, this is going to be in its own wrapper, this is going to be in its own wrapper, and then this is just going to be its own element, because we don't really need to put that in a wrapper. So let's go to our HTML here, and we're going to add a div with an ID equal to newsletter. And that right there is just so if someone clicks on this here, it'll just scroll them all the way down to where the newsletter will be down there, or in any other page if they happen to click. If I have a link to the newsletter, it'll just take them right to that section of that page. So let's also give this a class of newsletter slug. And we're gonna close off this tag. So inside of here, we're going to add an H2 and say newsletter. Close off that, and then let's see what we wrote over here. We wrote stay connected and get updates on projects I am working on. So let's add a paragraph tag. And in here we're gonna write stay connected and get updates on projects I am working on. And that should be it for this part right here. We're gonna go ahead and skip the form just for right now. We're gonna add that in later in this video. So back in our HTML, we are going to add those social links. So let's go ahead and we're gonna make another div with a class of footer social links. We're going to close this off, and we need three different Facebook, one for Twitter, and one for Instagram. So first off, let's just start this with an anchor tag, and inside the anchor tag, we're going to start them off with site dot if you remember back in here in our config.yaml, we wrote these paths, so we're going to use these paths. So for this one, the first one, I think the first one is Facebook, Twitter, and then Instagram. So we're going to write Facebook path, then it's going to be Twitter path, and then it's going to be Instagram path. And then we just need to close it with the two curly braces right here. Not this one up here though. That doesn't need it. Okay, so some other things for these anchor tags. We're going to want them to be target equals underscore blank, because I want them to open in a new page and not the same page that they're viewing our website in. So let's go ahead and now give these anchor tags a class. And the class is going to be social icon wrap. And let's close off these anchor tags. Now for each one of these, we're going to add an extra class to it. So the first one is going to be footer Facebook wrapper, and then this next one is going to be footer Twitter wrapper, and then the last one here is going to be footer Instagram wrapper. So I mean, you're not going to see anything here because we're not including it yet, but that is all three of those links, and we'll just have to style them in a little bit. The last thing we're going to add before we work on that form though is the email address. So we're just going to make another A tag after the footer social links part. So it's going to be A href, and to make it open up the mailer daemon when they click on it, we're going to have to write something a little different than what we normally write in an href attribute. So we have our email right here. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to write mail to : and then we're just going to write curly brace site dot email, and that is going to open up their mailer when they click on this link. So let's give it a class of footer email. Close off the tag. And then inside here, I want it to read what the email is, just like you see here. So we're just going to go ahead and write the site.email variable right in here again. And that's going to be it for this part of the footer. What we need to do right now, though, is we need to get our newsletter form from MailChimp, and we're going to put it in here. Before we put it in here, though, we're going to make a new include, and let's call this newsletter form.html. And right above the footer social links, we're going to include that. So it's going to be curly brace percent include newsletter form.html, and then close it with the percent sign and the ending curly brace. And that's going to be perfect for now. The reason we're doing this is just because I don't want it to be that cluttered, and if I ever do change something with MailChimp or change who I'm using it or who I'm using for the newsletter service, I want to just be able to change this one section right here and not have to worry about finding everything inside of here and having the chance of messing something up. So what we are about to do right now, we're gonna want to see this down here so we can see what we're working on. So let's go to our index.html and let's include the footer. So it's curly brace percent sign include footer.html, and then close it with the percent sign and curly brace. Save it, make sure everything compiled right, refresh, and you'll see stuff right here. Now, if you look, there is a horizontal rule right here, just like there's one here. So let's go ahead and just add that in right above. Yeah, I didn't add a class to it or anything, so. Refresh, and here is the horizontal rule. There isn't enough space here. Let's find in our SAS, let's find this section. SAS, layouts, index, recent projects section. Auto. Let's see what's sitting right here and see what we need to add some either margin or padding to. So the recent projects content wrapper. A recent projects content wrapper. Let's add 0 to the top. Auto on the right. Let's add 100 pixels to the bottom and auto to the left, and let's see if that worked. Yes, that did. That gave us the space we need right here, so that's good. Close that out. We don't need that open anymore, and we don't need our index.html open anymore. But what we do need to do is we do need to go get that form. So we're going to come over here and just sign into your account. If you have a list, go to that list, click on sign up forms, and what we are going to do is we are going to click on the embedded forms, and we're going to customize this just a little bit. First of all, I don't want any styling on this, so we're going to click naked, and we're going to remove the title. We're going to show only required fields, which is the email address, and we can go ahead and unselect the show required fields indicator. We don't really need that either. You don't need to worry about any of this. That's fine. If it is checked, just uncheck it. We don't need to add any form width. And show format options. I just uncheck it. And so this is our code right here for the entire form. So let's go ahead and copy that. Come back to the newsletter form.html and paste it in. So we can take a look at the form here and just break it down and see what is what. So we have, this is the wrapper for it pretty much. And here's the label for the email address. Let's go ahead and, if you see here, we're not using a label, but they have this label here, and that's okay. We will just hide that later. This is the input, so that is going to be this part right here. And then we have, where is it? This is the subscribe button, and this stuff right in here is just to keep bots from signing up. So we're not going to mess with that. But let's go ahead and refresh the page over here and see if our imports or includes are working. Refresh, and here we go. We have this. So if you were to, type in your email address or whatever, let's just put something random in and hit subscribe, it's going to bring you right over to here, and you're going to be able to confirm the email address and finish signing up for it. So that part of the website's already working. And if you click this, it pops up your mail application. All right. So we've got all of our HTML set up how we need it for now. Let's go ahead and jump over to our Sass, and we're going to start styling all of this. So we're going to add in our modules, we're going to add a new file called footer.sass. And in here, we are going to start styling everything. So let's grab our footer with the class of footer wrapper, and we're going to give it a width of 100%, not 1000%. Padding of 100 pixels on the top and bottom and 20 pixels on the left and right. We are going to display this flex. We're going to set the flex direction to column, and we're going to set the align items to center. Let's see what that did over here. And it did nothing because we forgot to include it into the directory here. So we're just going to do @import, and we're going to import the footer. Now let's go ahead and refresh this and see what it did. All right, so it's centered this in here. This is text align left right now. We're going to need to center that up in just a moment, but everything is in the dead center here. Next, let's grab our newsletter slug, and we are going to give it margin auto. Let's give it a max width of 285 pixels. And we're going to apply text align center to it so that we don't have to add it to the H2 and the P tag inside of it. It'll just cascade over and, make it work right. So we can save this right now. Come over here, look at this, refresh. Did I not save it? Or did I type something in wrong? Oh, yep, named this completely wrong. Let's fix that. Newsletter. Now let's refresh this. And that's working. So there's a couple things we need to fix in our SAS here. So we're going to grab the H2 and we're going to say padding bottom 5 pixels. And then our paragraph tag, we're going to say line height 1.375 m. Now let's come back here and refresh this again. And that looks much better. This looks much more like what we've got going on here. The next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to start styling all this junk for the form. If we look at what we got here, we'll see we have an ID of MC embed sign up. So we're going to select this ID right here. So to select an ID in SAS, we are going to write the £sign and put in the ID. So we're going to give this a few things here. We're going to give it a width of 100%. We're going to give it a max width of 600 pixels. And we're going to give it a padding of 30 pixels on the top, 0 pixels on the right, 60 pixels on the bottom, and 0 pixels on the left. So what the width and the max width is doing is it's saying be 100% up until 600 pixels, which means that when we're viewing this on a desktop, it's going to be 600 pixels wide, and when the browser shrinks all the way down and gets this it gets right up to the edge, it's going to be 100% of whatever that is instead of being 600 pixels wide. Let's go over here and refresh this. Just see it shifted a little bit. We can come in here and look at that and see how this looks here. So this is the MC embed sign up. This is what we just styled. So you see it's 600 pixels wide right now. And then let's see if we make this responsive. So it's still 600 pixels wide. And when this goes beneath that, it's just 100% of what it can be. Back in our SAS, let's see what's over here still. Let's grab the MC sign up scroll, because this is wrapping all of this. Actually, let's go ahead and let's just fix this up some so it looks cleaner, so we know what we're doing. I'm gonna indent this, indent this. All right, so that's a little better, a little easier to read. So like I said, we're gonna grab the MC embed sign up scroll in our HTML, in our SAS here. So select that, and we're gonna say display flex, flex direction row, flex grow of 2, flex wrap, no wrap. So if you look at this, how it is right now, we have the subscribe button beneath the input form, and by telling it to have the flex direction of row, it's going to make it horizontal here. So let's refresh this, and you see now it's horizontal. The next thing we're going to do, what I do want to happen when this goes to a mobile size, let's see, it gets funky like that anyways. That's just because of the label right now. But when it gets to a mobile size, there's not going to be enough room to have the input on the left and the subscribe button on the right, because it's just not going to be wide enough to put anything in there. So I'm going to want to change the flex direction to column when it gets to a mobile size. That way there's enough room to write your email address all the way across, and the button to subscribe will be just beneath it. Let's go and add at media screen and max width of 370 pixels. And we're just going to say flex direction column. Save it. Refresh the page. And let's shrink the browser and see if it breaks. So I think that's working. I think it just happens to be I think it's just because this label's still here, it's still breaking funky. So let's just take a look at that a little later. Down here, let's see what's next. So this right here, this MC field group, we're gonna grab that. And we're gonna say flex grow 2. And we're gonna grab, what should we grab next? Let's grab the label next. We're just gonna say label display none, because we don't want to see that label. Let's just come over here and refresh it, and there the label is gone. So now you'll see when this gets here, maybe you won't see, I don't know. Where'd the form go? Disappeared. Okay, well, let's just keep going and we'll see what happens. We do need to style our input. So let's select the input. And let's grab this class of email. So it's going to be any input with the class of email. So inside of our input, let's give it a height of 60 pixels. And let's say width 100%. And so we can see it, let's give it a border. The border is going to be 2 pixels. It's going to be solid, and it's going to use our highlight variable. Let's take a look at it now. There we go. Now we can see this. Now it's showing up. Still not breaking yet. That's okay. We'll worry about that later. It's not that important right now. Let's just work on the desktop size. Let's give it a little bit of padding. Say 22 pixels. Well, you're not going to see that. Font size, set it to 1M. We're going to set the color for the text inside of it to primary. We're going to set the font family to the font stack 2 that we have. Font stack 2. font weight 600. We're gonna add some border radius to this just a little bit. It's gonna be 3 pixels, 0, 0, and then 3 pixels. So this is going to add 3 pixels of border radius to the top left, 0 to the top right, 0 to the bottom right, and 3 to the bottom left. And that is so when we can have some rounded edges here, we can still keep this seamless. Save that. Let's see if it works. There we go. These are rounded and these are not. Let's give it a line height of 1em. I do know that when this does break, that this is going to be beneath here and it's going to be going the full width beneath it. And you know what, actually, I can show you. So this is the phone. Nope, not the right size. So when it gets really small, this is what it's going to be, but we're going to still round these corners here. So we have to change our border radius just a little bit. So we're just going to say at media screen and max width of 370 pixels. We're going to say, we're going to grab the border radius and we're going to change it just slightly. So it's going to be 3 on the top left, 3 on the top right, and then 0 on the bottom right and 0 on the bottom left. Some things that we're going to change with this input is the style of the placeholder text that is in it. So like there's going to be placeholder text inside of it. So we're going to need to change that. And then we're going to need to style the input subscribe button. So to select the input placeholder style, we're going to just type in input, and then we're going to do 2 colons, and then type in placeholder. And we're going to give it a color of secondary. And we're going to give it an opacity of 0.65. And we can save that. So over in the newsletter form, on this input here, we are going to give it the attribute placeholder, and we're just going to set that to you at example.com. Refresh the page, and you'll see this right here. And when you type in your email address, it'll look like that. So it's going to be nice and faded so it doesn't, stand out in your face so much. And then when you're typing your name in, which for some reason I can't type today, your email or whatever, it'll look cooler. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and let's start styling our button. So the button is an input, I believe. Yes, this is the submit button. It is an input with the ID, not class, sorry, the ID of MC embedded subscribe. Let's select that. And let's give it a transition all of 0.2s ease in, because we are going to be changing the color when it is hovered on. Actually, you know what? No, we're not going to be changing the color when it's hovered on, because if this button changes color, then it's not going to be the same color as the border here, and I don't want that to happen, so let's get rid of this line. Text line center, though, width of the button is 150 pixels. The height is going to match the height of the input for your email, so it's 60 pixels. The background is going to be the highlights variable. The color of the text is going to be our white variable. And we're going to get rid of the border. Let's give it the border radius. Now, this needs to be pretty much the reverse of this one. So it's going to be 0 pixels, 3 pixels, 3 pixels, and 0 pixels. Then we can go ahead and set the font family to font stack 2 as well. The font size to 1M. The font weight to 600. Letter spacing -5 pixels. No, -0.5 pixels. -5 pixels would definitely not work. And I want the cursor to change to the pointer when it is on top of that. Let's refresh. Nothing. What did I do? Oh, sorry. Yeah, so this is way down here. It's not in the same part there. So let's just move this back. And now let's try it. There we go. Now it's working. So it's a cursor. This is nice and tight here. I don't need a lot of spacing between these letters. And this all works here. This annoys me. This glow thing. So we'll fix that later. I don't want to do it right now. We'll do it later. So I want this to break at like 500 pixels. I think. Let's try it. At media, screen, and max width 500 pixels. Let's set this width to 100%. So that's 500. So this way we have a little more space to put our email address in here. And then at media, screen, and max width of 370 pixels. border radius is going to change to border radius is going to change to 0 on the top, and then it's going to be 3 on each side on the bottom. Cool. We already hid our label, so that's good. Let's start working on the social links for the footer. Footer, social links, and let's give this display a flex. Flex direction is row, justify content space between, and give it a height of 50 pixels. Let's just look at this again. Okay, let's give it a width of 100% and a max width of 250 pixels. And let's give it some margin of 0 on the top, 0 on the right, 25 pixels on the bottom, and 0 on the left. And that's just going to add this space in here. Refresh, and well, I mean, you saw the space grow, but there isn't anything there yet. So we have some social icons in here. What do we name them? Social icon wrap. So let's select those. They're inside of the footer social links, so it's going to be social icon wrap. Let's set a few things here. Transition all 0.1s, ease in, display inline block. Let's give them a height of 50 pixels and a width of 50 pixels. Let's give it a border radius of 100% and overflow hidden. And so we can see it for now, let's set the background to primary. Here we go. So we have 3 round social link things. I really like it when it's round. Makes me very satisfied. I do want it to shrink just a tiny bit when you hover over it. So we're gonna say and hover transform scale 0.95, so it's just a little bit, not a lot. There you go. You see it shrink just a little bit when you hover over it. That is exactly what I want. Let's go ahead and style our email address before we go ahead and add these images in here. Class is footer email. Let's select that. And we're going to give this a transition all 0.2 seconds, ease in, because on this one we are going to change the color just a little bit when we hover over it. Let's set the font family to our font stack 1. Well, not font stack 1, just font stack. And we're going to set the font size to 1M. Let's set our color to secondary. And now let's go ahead and add our and hover and change the color to primary, the primary variable. Let's refresh this. So now this is nice and grayed out. When you hover over it, that changes to the darker color that we have set. Let's come right here. Let's select our input and border radius 0. And let's also give it an outline of none. Now let's see what happens here. Okay, so that got rid of that gets rid of the glowing. That still works. Coolio. Let's add our, where is it? In the social icon wrapper, social icon wrap. Let's set the styles for our background image, and then we're going to add the background images to it. So it's going to be background size is going to be contain. That's not what I wrote. Contain. Position is going to be center. Repeat is going to be no repeat. And let's go ahead and we're going to select each one of these. And we're going to add the image. Background image URL, and we're going to go to the image, so it's back a directory, then it's in our image directory, and I think it's icons. Yeah, icons. And then let's see what we named them. This one is Facebook. So this is going to be facebook.svg. Let's save that, see if it worked on this first one here. Yes, it did. Let's get rid of this border radius now. See if that fixes this. Yeah, and let's get rid of the color here on the background. Okay. Let's grab these and change this to Twitter. What I type wrong? Twitter on blue. There we go, there's that. No, I don't want to open you. And then on this last one here, let's go ahead. Man, I cannot type today for my life. Instagram. And change this to Instagram as well. There we go. That is working. Go away. I don't want to update. Okay, thank you. All right. I wonder if we add a little padding. Let's see if it just shrinks the image a little bit. Let's go like 10 pixels. Nope. Cool. Oh, what we can do though is on the sides, let's just do like, let's try 75%. See if that makes it look cooler. There we go. It makes it a little smaller. I like that. So this one shrinks. These don't for some reason. Okay, let's see why. Why? Oh. I put these in the wrong spot. This needs to go after that. Now let's refresh. And now they all shrink a little bit. Okay, so since we changed this a little bit so that the width of it shrinks when it gets down here, I'm not actually worried about this breaking. Not right now. I'm gonna see how it feels on the phone and see if I want to even make that happen. So this is our footer. And I think it looks good. Alright, so that'll be it for this video. We just finished working on the home page today. We've done the header of the home page, the main body of the home page with the recent projects section and the blurb, and then we just finished the footer today. Like I said earlier in this video, the footer is going to be a global footer for the entire site. So on any page that we're looking at, you're going to see that footer there. In the next video, we will be working on the blog to the website. We're not going to be working on the blog post just yet, so go ahead, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you liked it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see your face in the next video.